Hey guys, it's me, Gimpy. Welcome back, and I've got something a little different for you here today. So just bear with me while I get started into it, and you guys will see here in a little bit where I'm going with this. I've had a problem, okay? My problem is I have this excellent game here. This is Falling Stars, the role-playing and tactical system. It's the beginner game. I've got some extra maps and stuff for it, but I'm not going to worry about that just yet. This is a role-playing game. And when I say role-playing game, for those of you who don't know, because primarily this has been wargaming up until this point, it is like, think Dungeons and Dragons, okay? You got a game master, you've got people sitting around playing the game, they're rolling dice, they're doing a whole bunch of cool nerdy shit. All right, I had this for a little bit, and I've been trying to figure out a way to play it solitaire, because the majority of my gaming is done solitaire. I have the typical games that I'll play with my wife, like Galaxy Trucker and Agricola and Caverna and Euro style stuff. You know, she loves that stuff, and we play a lot of that. Power Grid, you know, we play that one. But this is so far beyond what she's going to be into, and I don't have a gaming group that's into this type stuff. I do X-Wing, but it's, you know, nowhere near this type thing. Speaking of which, if any of you have ever thought about trying X-Wing but haven't, do it. It's excellent. Fantasy Affiliate did wonderful with this. But this game comes with so many excellent components. The maps in it are outstanding. When I say the maps are phenomenal, I mean phenomenal. The thickness of your maps in this game is actually thicker than some counters I've seen before. I mean, look at this thing. Look at that. I mean, gorgeous maps. You've got your grids already right here on it, and the game itself, it's a tactical RPG, so you're moving your characters around. It's got rules for shooting and moving and ducking and weapons and leveling up your character and all that cool stuff that I wanted to do, but there was no way that I could play it because I couldn't GM and play the game myself. It just wasn't going to work at that point. This is designed too much for that, which is not a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm just not a group RPG player, but I would love to have something like this that I could play solitaire. And I mean, hell, look, the first game, this is just the beginner box, comes with all these maps, and it comes with this, which is a sheet of counters, which are your typical lock and load counters, which means I love them because they're easy to punch out, they're pre-rounded, and you can see you've got named characters here at the top. You've got enemies, you've got grunts and turrets and droids and a whole bunch of cool stuff that, you know, I definitely wanted to play, and I couldn't figure out how to actually get it down to the table. There's some other components I'll show you here real quick. You've got a couple of dice. Your rule book, there is a bigger rule book that you can order separately, but you're not going to need it for what I'm showing you this for, okay? This is for people, anyone out there like myself who would like to play a game like this but would like to play it by themselves. And then you've got your sheets that you can take and mark down your character stats and all that good stuff in it. You're not going to need some of this stuff. What I'm getting ready to show you is that you can use all these cool components with a different type of game system. It's something that I saw on the Facebook solitaire wargaming site, and it's something called 2 Hour War Games. And I went and I ordered one. This is their 5150 series, Bright Alleys and Bright Lights. This is a RPG light game that you can take and play that simulates this but does it solitaire. The one problem with it, and I'm not hating on 2 Hour War Games for this in the least, these are the tiles that it came with. Alright, so these are like your area tiles. Alright, and there's a little thing here that shows you what each area is supposed to be, okay? And then it has a little sheet of cardstock here with some basic could-be counters if you have nothing else, because their games are designed to be used with anything. You can use miniatures, you can use counters, you can use these just by cutting them out. You can use whatever you want. You don't even have to use them. You can just write it down if you want. The big thing for me is it's a game system that I can play solitaire, all right? And it has everything needed in it. And you've got your graphs, you've got the way to keep track of everything. You're going to have your usual stuff: shooting, actions, melee, will to fight, all that type of stuff. But you can even incorporate other things like companions, deals. I haven't gone through the whole rule book yet. I've just started thumbing through it. A lot of interesting stuff. Your characters can have jobs. You can, that's what it's referring to here, is your professions, you know, store owner, smuggler, sales clerk, police officer. Now, I'm not going to use it for all of this type stuff. What I'm going to use it for is its game system that allows me to have a tactical type combat, and I'm going to incorporate it into this and basically create my own story. I'm going to use the lock and load counters and the lock and load maps and possibly some of the other things that they have in there, but with this game system. And this is inexpensive. It's $17 if you print it off yourself, if you just get the PDF, and then it comes out to about $25 with shipping, depending on where you're sending it to, for the printed version, which comes with the stuff here in case you want it, you know, but it gives you access to all that. There are other what should you say, scenarios or areas. There are 5150 that reference space combat, that reference ships if you want to use that, because a lot of these maps are designed on like big carriers, you know, or smaller dogfights, which you could actually incorporate. Hell, I could do that with my X-Wing ships if I really wanted to get into that. But right now, I have the ability to do that. Now, I'm going to have to make just a few small tweaks to their rule system. For example, their combat doesn't necessarily have a movement system in it, but a quick, easy workaround that I've figured out is every character has a stat called reputation. Reputation can also be how many movement points they have. It's already got mechanics in it for cover. So if you have, you know, a map and some guy's ducking down behind something, you know, whatever terrain you've got going on, or he's tucked behind a little wall here, then you can take and put in the cover mechanics that 5150 has into this. And I plan on coming up with my own scenario, I guess you could say, using these components with that rule system with those slight modifications to it. I can use the characters that are already in this and just have my own solo RPG. Like I said, I know this is different from what I generally do, but I mean, gamers like a plethora of stuff. I'm into mainly war games, but I'm not into only just war games. I do a bunch of other nerdy stuff as well. So I wanted to show that to you guys so you could see that if anyone else out there like me wanted to have a solitaire RPG that they could play, check out 2 Hour War Game stuff. And it's not just sci-fi. I wanted it for their sci-fi stuff to mix with this, you know, because I already had the components. I already have the maps. I just needed the rules. But they have World War II stuff. They have, hell, I can't even remember off the top of my head. I think they have some old-fashioned stuff like, what time period? Like early 1800s when they're in their colonizational area. You guys know what I'm talking about. I think they've got stuff from that time period, so you could have like Indians and cowboys or whatever you want. You have access to it. It's a company, I don't think they've gotten enough publicity for what they're doing. If you're a solitaire gamer, it's definitely something you should check out. Absolutely worth it. And the book that they send to you is very good quality. I mean, it's black and white, okay? So don't expect a bunch of color into it, but these guys, well, except for the cover is color, but it's well made, all right? It's it's actually better than a lot of the rule books that I've gotten in actual printed war games, boxed war games, and the rules are not hard to understand. If you've played other games, you'll understand this. It references the same type stuff. D6 this, D6 that. Like I said, you've got all your charts at the back. to keep track of things, and you can take and copy and print them out into, you know, sheets to write down your own stuff. I'm going to be using the sheets with this primarily. Like I said, I haven't fully established it, and if there is interest from this video in it, when I do get it set up and down to the table and have the nitty-gritty details figured out of what I'm using from each particular set, then I'll do a quick little run through of it. But this is primarily, I guess, for me, just to let myself have an RPG that I can play by myself. But I wanted to show you guys just so you could see that there are other things that you can do. You don't have to be pinned down to just what you get in the box set. Take and look into other avenues. Definitely check them out. 2-hour war games. A lot of interesting stuff. I guarantee you'll like it if you're into solitaire type mechanics. All right, you guys check that out. And if you want the sci-fi RPG experience, you have a ready-made ability to have that if you get the lock and load beginner set. Specifically the beginner set. They have multiple falling star set. There are extra maps, and there's a big rule book. If you're getting it for the purpose that I'm using it, you don't need the big rule book because you're not using those rules specifically. But they do have a bunch of extra maps if you want those to incorporate into your games. And for me specifically, having the counters, because I do have some figures that I could use. I mean, I guess if you're into like Warhammer, you could take and use Space Marines or whatever, but I like having good counters to use. And hell, they're even numbered, so if I wanted to keep track of the different units, you know, on a separate sheet of paper of who's taken how many wounds or what's happened to them, they're already numbered, so they're easy to keep track of. So absolutely, definitely check that out. Anyway, I know it's a little different video. I hope it helped any of you guys out who might possibly be in the same boat that I am when it comes to this stuff. You guys take care. I'll see you in the next one.